Hey everybody, welcome to Grafted. I'm Sam, this is Tom. We are gonna do a reaction to season 1, episode 1 of The Chosen.
Where it all began.
So stick around, we got a special guest.
That's right, Mr. Dallas Jenkins is gonna review an important scene in this episode. You don't wanna miss it.
Yep, so grab your tiny mugs and let's get started.
She's sleeping, that little one.
Can't sleep.
Sit down. Sit down. Is your head hurting you again?
No.
I know. You are thinking of the big new star. Hey, look, it's right there. You see?
No.
Why can't you sleep?
I'm scared.
What?
I don't know.
Hey, what do we do when we are scared?
We say the words.
I don't know.
You notice that star, what the star was?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was 2 BC.
Mm-hmm.
So the Star of Bethlehem.
2 years prior.
I didn't catch that the first time.
I
saw it,
definitely
don't
didn't.
think.
I don't think I did.
So, all right, they're
All right.
noticing.
All right.
They're noticing.
Check out the new star.
The prophet.
Isaiah.
The prophet Isaiah, right? Thus says the Lord who created you, O Jacob, and he who formed you, O Israel. Fear not. Come now, I want to hear you sing. I want to hear your pretty voice. Come.
Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine.
You are mine. That's right.
So why is she bloody, Sam?
There's a lot going on right here.
Yeah. I really don't know.
I mean,
Like, is she a cutter, or is she getting a fight, or
I think there was an altercation of some sort. Sounds
she
like.
gets violent when she's having demonic fits or something like that?
Right.
Is that what's going on?
That's what it looks like to me.
Okay.
I don't think it's self-inflicted.
You don't.
Doesn't look like it to me, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
We'll find out, I guess.
Trying to kill me! Trying to kill me! Somebody! Somebody! Filthy dog! Demons live inside her! Get your back!
So it's pretty obvious from the setup here that as a little girl, she was exposed to a part of the covenantal faithfulness of God.
Right.
And then somewhere along the way that got messed up.
Clearly.
And now she's clearly demonized and in need of help. And
Right.
I mean, however you want to view it, that's where she's at.
Demons are real.
Demons are real.
I mean, that's what they're saying
Right.
here. Demons are real.
Right.
This is something serious. And it's an interesting way to kind of jump into The Chosen.
That's true.
I kind of like it, actually, because it's saying that the supernatural is real.
Right.
It's not just this natural, physical world, but like, hey, the Bible's all about the supernatural.
Right.
And the story of Yeshua, the story of the disciples, this is all about the supernatural.
Yeah, and there's only one cure.
That's right. It's good.
I mean, we're going to see it.
Right.
We've seen the episodes,
Yeah.
right? But there's only one cure, and that cure is Yeshua.
Yeah. We have the
That's
answer.
that. Yeah, we have the answer to
good.
the problems.
It's good.
Right. Even these super heavy, you're in a room, you're bloody, you don't know
Right.
why, it's demonically charged. He's still the answer.
It's awesome.
Honestly, I always look forward to my annual visit to Capernaum and your magnificent Sea of Galilee. It is truly the envy of the kingdom. Even my children are enamored of it. All day they would swim, frolic in the sand, and watch the people. Finally, one day I said, "You love it here so much. Why is it you never go to the sea when we visit your grandparents back home?" My son, he just shrugged and said, "But father, there's never anyone there. It's dead." And your
Geographical
sea
Bible jokes.
boasts the most exquisite fish. How unfortunate. But those
That was like a dad joke, but he was saying that this kid told it. So it was a kid dad joke.
Kid dad geographical Bible joke.
Right. Side note, the Hebrew name for the Sea of Galilee is the Kinneret, and it means harp. And it's because they say that the Sea of Galilee is like in the shape of a harp.
Oh, cool. I don't think I knew that.
Isn't that cool?
That's really neat. Is he smoking? No, the cup is. Sorry.
No.
to do the actual fishing are unholy, foul-mouthed, given to gambling in secret dens, and even fishing on Shabbat. Can we eat the catch and not be stained by the sins of the catcher? Make no mistake. It is a sin to eat fish caught on Shabbat. What goes into the body of a man defiles him. Why are our Jewish brethren taking their boats to sea on Shabbat? I assure you, the Messiah will not come until this wickedness is purged from our midst. Your actions are being watched, studied. God has entrusted you to be exemplary in every way. Now, if your status is too great a burden, you do not deserve to bear the name of Israel.
So he's talking about Shabbat observance. And I mean, obviously these guys aren't fishing on Shabbat.
These guys.
Yeah.
Right.
But he's saying you can't even eat the fish
Caught on
that are-
Shabbat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's defining even what sin is, right? He said it's a sin,
Right.
and that if they continue doing this, that the Messiah won't come back.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I mean, it's something that is commendable about doing things unto the coming of the Messiah and longing for the Messiah and contending for the coming of Messiah, but it seems a little bit off.
Well, I would say that's part of their eschatology. So the Pharisees were saying, if we will do these commandments, in fact, they were trying to get all of Israel to, like the common man, to
Right.
do the priestly commandments. So they're taking the Levitical priesthood and putting it on all the people,
Right.
and saying, hey, we're all priests, and so if we'll all live this extra righteous, holy life, that will bring the Messiah.
Right.
But there are some problems with that. One is that, I mean, the scripture doesn't say that. So they're also putting more commandments, if you will, onto people
Right.
that God hasn't asked them to do.
It's a heavy yoke to try to bear.
It becomes a heavy burden.
Right.
And we do that sometimes too.
Sure.
Putting commandments on ourselves or on others that God hasn't asked them
Yeah.
to do.
Absolutely.
Should we move on?
Before we do, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and if you want to learn more about us and the Grafted family, click on the link in the description below.
long has she been like this?
Like what?
I'm trying to help her, Rivka.
All you're gonna do is mess this place up. Then what? You're gonna stop by and help clean?
The demons
Rabbi?
that torment her soul will turn your place to dust. Even if you care nothing for her soul, at least...
Lilith never hurt anyone that didn't hurt her first. Mostly. She has these spells. We let her be and then she's as sweet as an angel again. Curse it all, Lil! You can put an end to this.
So just as a FYI, there was, I don't know if it was common, but we do have records of Pharisees doing exorcisms.
That's a good note.
And they talk about demons and everything in extra biblical Jewish literature. So, and actually, Yeshua also mentions other people doing deliverances when he talks about that if I cast out demons, if it's Beelzebub, then who do you cast out demons in the name
Right.
of? And so,
Right.
so this was a relevant topic apparently in the first century. So.
Right. Well, yeah, lots of people in need of transformation. I mean, it just wherever Yeshua walked, there were people getting healed, people getting delivered. Apparently it was, I mean, just as it is today, maybe a little more visceral then, I don't know. Well, maybe not. But I don't know, it's interesting to see the way they've portrayed everybody's different reaction and response to what's going on. So you have her friend who's like, we just leave her alone, everything turns out okay, just wait. And that's a worldly response. We'll just kind of cover it up and she'll come back to normal. It's not fixing the problem. You have the Pharisees here that look obviously semi-terrified. And so...
But wanting to do something.
You know? Yeah. And I don't know, so there's just some different approaches happening.
Right. Which makes sense. People react differently to demonic manifestations.
For sure.
You know?
For sure.
The other interesting part is that her name is Lilith. And in Jewish history, Lilith is really this female representation of evil. And has a long Jewish tradition of really weird evil stuff. I won't go down that road. Yeah. But I assume it's probably intentional.
Right. Why they chose
by the chosen guys to even have this original presentation of good versus evil when Yeshua comes on the scene and delivers her.
That's interesting.
So that's kind of cool.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Little thing they dropped in there.
Exactly.
kind of show Yeshua off a little bit. Yeah.
Exactly. Let's keep going.
I adjure you by the holy angels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, and Raziel. I adjure you, cursed dragon, diabolical legions, come out! I adjure you, spawn of Beelzebub, Abaddon and Sheol, by the utterance of all the watchers and the holy ones, in the name of Adonai.
He's just like, he's named like every. So you've got all these angels that he's referring to. We have these angels in Enoch and maybe Jubilees as well. But it talks about how the angels go before you and behind you and to your right and to your left. He's talking about Abaddon, which is the pit. He's talking about Sheol, which is
Beelzebub.
Hades, Beelzebub, the Watchers.
I don't know that one.
That Watchers is talking about this goes back to Genesis chapter 6. And this co-mingling between angels
Right.
and the daughters of men and sons of God. So, yeah.
It's kind of naming them all off.
He really is. Actually, in the first century, the understanding of the origin of demons was that they were the offspring of the Watchers. So the giants, or the Nephilim in Genesis 6,
Right.
that when they died, that their spirits remained.
And that's what became the demons.
And that's what the demons are. And so they're longing to be re-embodied.
Oh, wow.
Because they used to have this
Yeah.
giant body. And so they're longing to be in a person or an animal or something. So that's actually what people understood demons to be in the first century.
Wow.
At least in this Jewish context. So you're kind of experiencing it here.
They did
we're
their homework.
We're jumping into first century Jewish context.
Right. They
quite a
did their
bit.
homework,
Yeah,
even
they
on
did.
this side, even on the spiritual warfare side. That's pretty interesting.
It's intense.
It is intense.
My God of the heavens, cease to deceive this human creature. I command you, in covenant with Abraham, in the names of Jacob, Isaac, Moses, the all-powerful El Shaddai, fly from this innocent soul.
We are not afraid of you. You have no power here, teacher.
We finished here.
He was trying everything, though.
He was,
He was going on
yeah.
Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Moses and as many angels, you know,
The different names of God, El Shaddai,
Adonai.
Most High, all that, all of it.
and trying to command him to come out. And
Right.
that's a good point. Different names of God. So some people don't know Adonai is the same as the four-letter name of God, Yud He Vav He. So in English, it's usually translated as Lord, like all capitals.
Right.
Some people say Yahweh, which is not in Jewish tradition. You don't try to pronounce the four-letter name of God, so that's a less common or
Because instead they would generally say something like Hashem, which just means the name.
or Adonai,
right.
which is
Yeah.
similar. Adon means Lord, and Adonai technically means my Lord. So they're trying to still connect it in with him being your master,
Right.
without actually pronouncing the Yud, the He, the Vav, and the He. But anyway, he's calling on all as
Right,
much as
right.
he can to no avail.
Right.
So
To no avail.
Right.
Like she looks him in the face and
Right.
says, "You have no power here."
Yeah.
Right. I think they're doing a great job of setting up the intensity and the the light and the dark, the spiritual battle that is real, and
yeah,
then pointing to that there is no other name by which you're saved.
right.
Because again, we'll see Yeshua appear on the scene, and they're painting a really
good.
desperate picture here that nothing can fix but Yeshua.
That's good. That reminds me of how, so Nicodemus is the teacher of teachers,
Yeah.
is the teacher of Israel. And sometimes people will say, oh, Jesus, he was just a good teacher. Right? And well, what we're going to see here is he's not just a good teacher,
Right.
but he also has the power to deliver.
Right.
He's the deliverer,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so I think that's a interesting kind of juxtapositioning the two, because it also says that he taught like
With
one with
authority.
authority.
Yep. I
So
was just
there's
thinking
this.
that too, yeah.
He wasn't just a good teacher.
Right. Right.
He was the Son of God, and the healings that he would do and the deliverances that he would do showed that
Yeah.
he had the power of God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at one point, Nicodemus even says, only God
Yeah.
could help this woman or something like
Yep.
that. And they're like setting it up.
It becomes
for,
a sign to him that there's something different about
Right.
this one. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's good.
I should never have set foot in the Red District at all. And I would say you are probably correct. Often we make decisions in haste in our desire to correct a lost soul. But how to explain what happened when I was there? Brothers, when we follow God's law to the letter, God is alive through us. Would you agree, people?
Yes, Rabbi.
And he lives through you, and you, and you, if you follow his law. Now, imagine, if you can, one who heeds only wickedness for a lifetime. Demons root in wicked souls as pigs in filth. A possession like this was fatal. And souls such as hers, sadly, are beyond all human aid.
Yeah, there it is. Souls like her are beyond human aid. I like that because
Which is the truth.
it's like only God
Yeah.
could help.
Right.
But I guess what's really amazing then is that Yeshua, when he comes, not only does he obviously deliver her, but then what does he do? He releases his disciples.
Yeah.
You know, I'm reminded of when he sends out the 70, and then
Yeah.
they come back, and
Even the demons. Yeah.
exactly,
Right.
they're rejoicing, like even the demons flee at your name. And so it's not like, oh, it's just Yeshua, because he's the God-man, but then he empowers us
Right.
as his disciples
Right.
to follow in his footsteps. And then Yeshua says something like he saw Satan fall like lightning. You know, so like the kingdom of darkness has been defeated.
Right. Right.
Like, back to what you're saying, like this light versus darkness is what's happening here.
What's interesting there, I feel like I'm just kind of, light bulbs are kind of flashing on a little bit. It's, you see this, you know, the talk about righteousness and the talk about power. And it's kind of the two coming together in Messiah, in Yeshua. It's like only through Messiah there's true righteousness. Only through Messiah there's true power. Like he holds the power, he holds the righteousness,
Right.
and then like you're saying, he partners with us in relationship, and there's this partnership in expanding the kingdom,
Right.
his kingdom of righteousness, his kingdom of peace, his kingdom of order. And that's just the way he likes to do it, is through relationship.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like, as you're saying that, it's not just relationship, it's also like that we get to be whole.
Right. Right.
And so like
Yeah.
demonic deliverance is a like a representation of the fact the kingdom is broken in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that the kingdom of darkness is defeated, and that the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
It's like, hey, tangible sign, you're delivered from that demonic whatever. Yeah.
Like, no, I'm a living example
Yeah.
of no longer having this demonic influence
Absolutely.
in my life.
Absolutely.
And you know,
Right.
Mary Magdalene here, they're going to represent her that same
Yeah.
way. And that proves that the ultimate defeat
It's
or annihilation of the enemy is coming.
That's cool. It's like living stones, right? Being built into that spiritual house. We're living representations of the kingdom here and now.
Right. Yeah.
The kingdom that will come in its fullness. That's good.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Right. Yeah,
I'll sign up for that.
exactly. And that's how they would have understood in the first century, because they're so aware of the spirit world.
Yeah.
I mean, they're writing all about these different types of archangels and demons and darkness, and so they want proof in the pudding. They want to say, all right, well, who is the king? Who is the authority? Where is it? Show me the money, you know? And then, of course, Yeshua comes on the scene. So I'll follow him.
Yep. Same.
I'll follow him.
That's good.
Next. Your last tribute was collected the first month of summer. Your account is therefore delinquent by 40 days. At a penalty rate of 10% weekly.
6 weeks.
That's right. You're lucky to not be in jail.
Hey. He said 60% of penalties. What's that leave you with? Someone that came with about 60% of what I owe. I can't even pay. We're ruined.
Well, now it's we.
It's a high number. I say this based on your tribute history and future prospects. How do you choose to square your account? Are there gems inside?
Just silver.
Gold?
Just open the purse.
This will cover about half of your penalty balance.
Half the penalty.
My records indicate that you filed for an extension not once, not twice.
He just needed a couple of extra days, man.
I'm ruined.
Extended rates compound at 15%. As collateral, you've listed a fishing vessel and property at...
All right, I'm sorry about that. What my brother didn't mention was the arrangement with Quintus.
You have business with Quintus?
Yeah, my brother's dead. And a year gratis for both of us.
This will be verified with Quintus directly. If there's any inconsistency...
There won't be. Now, can I get my brother's, gold back? X-Man.
This will be verified with Quintus. If you are misinformed...
I know, you'll see.
What just happened?
Don't speak, just walk.
Sounds messy.
Right. The irony, of course, is that Matthew, the tax collector, has betrayed his people as the tax collector. And then what is Simon Peter doing here? But he's like betraying his brothers who are fishing on Shabbat and essentially agreeing to turn them in. And so he's doing this similar, different, but
betrayal is betrayal.
Yeah,
is
of your
betrayal.
people.
Whoa.
So it's
there's a lot of numbers thrown in there too. I got lost. But.
It's not gold. That's all you need to know. It wasn't gold.
Okay.
But obviously they're wanting to present, that we're all evil.
Right.
We're demonized. They're breaking Sabbath. They're
collecting taxes,
betraying their brothers.
Right.
They're, even the fighting with their,
for money,
physically,
gambling,
they're punks. They're punks, and so they need a savior.
They're lost, in need of a savior.
Right. So. So in some sense, we haven't changed 2,000 years later. Right. But I think it's good to show that humanity.
We're all in the same boat.
Exactly. While they have it. So we have one more scene for you, and it's the climax of the first episode, and it's with Mr. Dallas Jenkins. And he's going to review it with us. And so this is actually a huge, we found out in our interview that this scene is really for him defines the chosen because of his encounter with the Lord at Magdala. And he's presenting Mary Magdalene here, and it's such a powerful scene. And wow.
Here we go.
So we put together a clip from, it's the very end of episode 1, season 1.
Whoa.
So we're kind of going back to the very beginning here, and we're just going to play it, and then we can talk about it.
I don't know what else I can do to help you.
Give me that. Lots of it.
That's not going to solve your problems. It's meant to distract from
No
them.
more preaching. Just give it to me.
Lilith, please listen to what I'm saying.
He said leave me.
Love that part.
It's not for you.
Don't touch me.
Lily, are you okay?
I have to go. Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Mary! Mary of Magdala.
Who are you? How do you know my name?
Thus says the Lord who created you, and he who formed you. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine.
Wow, it gets me every time. I mean, hearing your story about Magdala, now, I mean, like, it hit me even harder.
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah.
This is... the way that this is what my question for you guys, like, in particular, obviously you, but like, it's the spirit behind the film. It is your directing, it is your writing, but it's the spirit on the film is why you guys are so successful. Is that somehow, I tell people this when you listen to teachers, because you can even be speaking the truth, but the spirit behind the words is just as important. And you have been able to bring that to life, and it's so powerful, it's so real. I remember everybody was saying, you got to watch The Chosen, when it first came out, and I finally watched, episode 1. It's like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. So my question is, like, how did you do that?
Yeah.
Like, how how do you pull that off? Because you've got people from all different flavors of the family Messiah. You got people that don't know the Lord, right? How do you still impart the Spirit in what you do? Like it's extraordinary. I'm not blowing you up because you're on the show. Like, how do you do that? That's extraordinary.
Well, I do. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, that scene has profound resonance for me in so many ways. It's the most important scene of the show, and I'll explain why in a second. But the story of the Gospels that changed my life when I was experiencing my biggest failure, my biggest career failure, was the feeding of the 5,000. And this man was led by God to tell me, it's not your job to feed the 5,000, it's only to provide the loaves and fish. And it was meant as an encouragement after I had made a movie that hadn't succeeded. And so I use this analogy now, seeing what The Chosen has done and the impact that it's had, and even watching a scene like that, it would be like the boy who provided the 5 loaves and fish going back to his family and going, check out what I did. I fed 5,000 people. Like, I brought 5 loaves and 2 fish and I fed 5,000 people. That would obviously be ridiculous. There is a part where you bring your loaves and fish. And so I have brought my 5 loaves and 2 fish, and those came after years and years of hard work. And I'm not embarrassed. I don't apologize for that. I'm proud of the work that I've done to get to this point. But it's not arguable that the 5,000 are being fed not by me. I mean, that's not even a debatable point. Yeah. And there's something about that scene when I was filming it, when we wrote it, when I watch it now, that's transcendent. That's bigger than I'm capable of. So I make that very, very clear. It's not false modesty or anything. This is bigger than I am capable of. That said, when I was in Magdala, I had recently written with my co-writers the first episode and included this Mary Magdalene storyline. And there were several things in there that I think were, I don't know what word to use, maybe inflammatory things about her that I don't think were accurate. And multiple people were telling me out of the blue, like who hadn't even read the script, were saying like, please make sure you get Mary Magdalene right. And I was like, why? What makes you say that? And they said, I don't know. I just feel like God is really like laying it on my heart. Like, and I really want you to get her right of all the characters you guys are doing. And when I first sent the draft of the first script to other people, most consistent comments were about her character. And then here I am in Magdala, and God like laying it on my heart, like these are my people, these are my followers. And so we went back to the first script and made some changes and really focused on like we have to honor this woman, this woman of God, so carefully and deeply and with such respect. And so the decision to end the first episode with her redemption was very important for 2 reasons. One, because we really wanted to get Mary Magdalene right. But 2, the first episode is actually a tough one. Like, it's complicated, it's slow, it's not, there's nothing from the Bible in it. So we've had lots of people who, they get told to watch The Chosen, and then they're halfway through the first episode and they're going, I thought this was a Jesus show. Like, where's Jesus? And I don't even know who these people are yet, because we treated it like a normal show, not like a Bible show where we're going to put up Bible verses for every scene and make it obvious who's who and all this. Right. So I said, if we don't end this episode with something really impactful and profound and emotional, and people aren't going to keep watching. So we had to get this scene right. Yeah. And even the casting of Mary Magdalene, we spent months and months trying to find the right person and couldn't. And then Liz Tabish comes along 2 weeks before filming out of Austin, Texas, and was just magnificent. I mean, just beautiful. And when we were on the set, when we were getting ready to shoot this scene, I think we all knew how important it was. We were all emotional. Everything about it was important. And then when we did the first test screening, I think the scene was a little rushed. And so I went back with the composers. I added 20 more seconds of footage, and we really made sure the music was right. And, but there's something very profound even about the fact that Jesus' first words in the whole show are, "That's not for you." First words, the first introduction of Jesus is his hand covering hers. And his first words are, that's not for you. And I could go on. I mean, we could do a whole episode just about that very scene. So it's profound that you chose it. But yeah, every time I watch it, I'm reminded of big God, small me. 5 loaves, 2 fish are all I'm able to provide because I think what God was doing with that scene and with that episode is bigger than I am.
Well, and I think one of the things that you captured so well there too, one, I love the way you guys do the music with the scenes. It's incredible. But one of the things that you captured there is that his words change everything. And he has the power to change your life right now. And so, he says the word and it's done. And regardless of if those specific words were in the text, it's the reality of who he is as the God of the universe. And that's what you're capturing, that his words change everything. And he knows you.
So good.
Like, even before you knew him, he had all of this knowledge of who you are and where you've been, and he's been there the whole time. And then he can call you out of darkness and into his light. And that's what you're capturing, which is the essence of the gospel.
Right, totally.
Right? So it's not the fact, it doesn't matter of whether that moment was scripture or not. It's actually identifying the power of the gospel.
Well, and I think it's important for the viewer to see it through her eyes and to see that he met her in a bar, that he was where she was at her lowest, and that when she said, "Leave me alone," which is what I think we do sometimes, he was like, "Yeah, that's not going to happen tonight." So that came a lot went into that. I know my co-writer Tyler had this beautiful idea. It was one of the first things that ever came in the show was that verse from Isaiah. One of the earliest concepts of the show was having that verse be something that her father shared with her when she was a kid, and then we ultimately decided that would be the verse that Jesus quoted to connect with her. And so it's the single most important scene in the show because it was, I think, the linchpin for what got people to keep watching. And we've had people tell us thousands of times that their lives were changed by that very scene alone.
So thank you so much, Mr. Dallas Jenkins.
Yeah.
What a way to end the beginning of The Chosen and the first episode. And it was a good episode.
It's a beautiful episode.
It was intense.
Super intense.
Like
lots of demonic, spiritual warfare, but lots of other questions too. So a great setup for what's coming.
I know, so it's intense for some people, but I like how he's set up, light versus darkness, and that the light wins, and that Yeshua wins.
Right.
He defeats Lilith, right? He defeats this evil, and it's such a gentle way.
Right. Oh man.
How it ends, and it's just it's so personal and intimate, and isn't that how we all experience the Lord and the King? It's this big kingdom, but we all come in individually. We all come in through this personal encounter with the living God.
I think that's awesome. Like it's Yeshua stepping into your life, right? Like he's coming in and he changes the course of the rest of the story.
And he calls us by name.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's so good.
So good.
Yeah. So thank you, Dallas Jenkins, so much for joining us. Thank you guys for joining us. That sounds great.
Solitary horn.
Oh wait, it is solid brass though.
How do you know?
It says. If you want to learn more about us and the Grafted family, click on the